Jeffrey Epstein, who he was, and the darkness he left behind. Jeffrey Edward Epstein was born on January 20th, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York City, a place known for noise, struggle, ambition, and survival. He did not come from wealth. He did not come from power. And yet, decades later, his name would become synonymous with privilege, secrecy, and one of the most disturbing scandals of the modern era. To this day, no one fully agrees on who Jeffrey Epstein really was, only on what he did and what may never be known. Jeffrey Epstein, power, secrets, and a death that shocked the world. Jeffrey Epstein was not a movie villain. He didn't rule a country, command an army, or appear on ballots, and yet by the time his name became known to the public, it was clear he had moved quietly through the highest levels of global power, leaving behind a trail of abuse, unanswered questions, and one of the most controversial deaths in modern history. This is the story of how a man with no clear source of wealth built an empire of influence, and how it all came crashing down. The mysterious rise. Jeffrey Epstein began his career far from wealth or power. In the 1970s, he worked as a teacher, despite lacking formal qualifications. Somehow, through connections that remain unclear, he transitioned into finance, landing jobs at elite institutions, and eventually managing money for extremely wealthy clients. What made Epstein unusual wasn't just his rapid rise, but how little transparency surrounded it. Unlike most financiers, he had no public track record, no well-known firm, and no clear explanation for how he amassed his fortune. Yet by the 1990s, Epstein owned multiple luxury properties, private jets, and a private island. He moved effortlessly among politicians, royalty, business leaders, and celebrities. Doors opened for him everywhere, and few people asked why. A hidden pattern. Behind the scenes, something darker was unfolding. Young girls, many of them vulnerable, underage, and from difficult backgrounds, began to describe a similar pattern. They were approached with promises of money, mentorship, or opportunity. What followed, they said, was systematic sexual abuse. For years, these accusations remained largely hidden from public view. In 2005, local police in Florida began investigating Epstein after a complaint from a minor. What followed should have ended his freedom permanently. The deal that changed everything. In 2008, Epstein struck a secretive plea deal with federal prosecutors. Despite multiple accusers, he was charged with a single offense and served just over a year in jail, most of it on work release. The deal was so lenient that it stunned legal experts. Even more disturbing, the victims were never informed. To many, this moment became the clearest example of a two-tiered justice system, one for the powerful and one for everyone else. Epstein walked free, returned to his wealth, and continued traveling the world. The web of power. As journalists began digging deeper, Epstein's connections came under intense scrutiny. Flight logs, photographs, and witness accounts linked him to influential figures across politics, finance, and royalty. Some associations were innocent. Others raised troubling questions. What role did Epstein really play in elite circles? Why did so many powerful people associate with him? And how had he managed to escape serious consequences for so long? No definitive answers emerged, only more suspicion. The arrest that reopened everything. In 2019, federal prosecutors in New York arrested Epstein on new charges of sex trafficking minors. This time, there would be no secret deal. He was denied bail and placed in a high-security jail. For the first time, it seemed possible that Epstein would face a public trial, one that might expose not just his crimes, but the network around him. Then, everything stopped. Death in a jail cell. On August 10th, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell. Authorities ruled his death a suicide. Almost immediately, the public reaction was explosive. Surveillance cameras malfunctioned. Guards failed to follow protocol. Epstein had previously been placed on suicide watch, then removed. To many, the official explanation raised more questions than answers. Was it negligence? Was it incompetence? Or was something deliberately covered up? No alternative explanation has ever been proven, but doubt remains widespread. Aftermath and unanswered questions. Epstein's death ended the criminal case, but not the story. Civil lawsuits continued. Some associates were investigated. Others denied involvement. Many questions were never resolved. Who protected Epstein for so long? How did he build his power? And who else may have been involved? For the victims, justice remains incomplete. For the public, Epstein became a symbol of unchecked power, institutional failure, and secrets that may never fully come to light. Jeffrey Epstein's story is not just about one man. It's about how influence can shield wrongdoing, how systems can fail the vulnerable, and how truth can disappear when power closes ranks. Years later, his name still echoes, not because of who he was, but because of what his case revealed.